Suspended between all that was and all that might be, we struggle to find this very moment, to live in this very moment. Let us sit together for a moment and savor it. Let us relish this between time where past meets future. Let us harbor a faith that reminds us that right now, right here, is enough. In that spirit of coming together in worship, you are invited to rise in body, mind, or spirit, wherever you are, to join in singing number 352, Find the Stillness.
At this time, I would like to invite Cody up to light the chalice for us. Now let us share in the reading of this fellowship's affirmation that is shared in the order of service. We gather together in a spirit of love, with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth with freedom, and to care for one another.
Our story this morning and our theme this morning is one that I particularly need to hear this morning because I'm feeling a little disjointed and hectic this morning. So our story this morning is, What Does It Mean to Be Present? By Rana DeOrio and illustrated by Eliza Wheeler. What does it mean to be present? Does it mean showing up in class? No. Does it mean sharing something at show and tell? No. Does it mean wrapping yourself up? No. Being present means listening carefully when other people are speaking, noticing when someone needs help and taking time to give them the help they need, focusing on what's happening now instead of thinking about what's next, appreciating what you have even if what someone else has seems better, waiting patiently for your turn, treating each new experience as an opportunity, and understanding that making mistakes is how we learn and grow. Savoring each bite of your being grateful for your family and friends and telling them so. Savoring each bite of your delicious food. Cuddling with your puppy and enjoying how soft and wriggly he feels. Enjoying the warmth of the sun and the sound of the rain. feeling the sand between your toes, watching the rolling waves, smelling the briny seaweed, listening to the cawing seagulls and tasting the ocean's salty spray, allowing the rhythm of your breath in and out to make you feel peaceful. Closing your eyes and being still enough to hear your inner voice. Being present means living in the moment. It means realizing that tomorrow is a mystery. Yesterday is history. Today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. So tell your friends what it means to be present and spread the word. When we're all present, life can be much richer, fuller, and happier.
This is the time that we set aside for the offering in order to give toward the financial vitality of our community. 25% of the undesignated collection for each week goes to an organization in the local community that we partner with. For the month of December, we are partnering with Habitat for Humanity, and I'll say I volunteer as many times as I can with UUFC. We do the third Saturday, so if you're interested, I'll put a plug in. Get with me or with Gordon Crane, and we'll help you get connected to volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. Each week, we also collect a non-perishable food for the Clemson Community Cares Food Bank. You may also give by going to the UUFC website and using the donate button. There you will see options for paying your pledge and donating towards the organizations that we partner with. Thank you for your generosity.
This is a time that we share our joys and concerns with this community. It is a time of sacred sharing, reminding us of our connection to community and the knowledge that we are not alone. I've asked Dave and Kari this morning to help place a stone in this vessel representing our shared community for each joy and concern shared. I'm going to share our concerns or sadnesses first. The Hemming Shipley family mourns the passing of a former colleague, Antonin Solomon. He will be missed by those who knew him as a caring and sensitive friend. Paula shares a concern that she is in the hospital currently following a fall and breaking her left hip, as she said, her good hip. So she had surgery on Friday and will be going to a rehabilitation center this week. But she welcomes visits, calls, and cards as she is recovering. And on a similar note, Jorge shares that thanks for me. and the people that have come to visit Paula at the hospital. Thanks. And then I have a joy from Nancy Johnson that she and Bing are celebrating 58 years of marriage on December 17th. Yes. Wow. Yes, yes, yes. It's great. Holly with an E shares that a joy is that her family will be together starting in person, or 8 in person, 2 by Zoom for the holidays, starting Sunday the 22nd. I have a joy to share with all of you as well. I've shared with a few of you, I'm in the process of buying a townhome in Pendleton. And so I'm excited to be putting down some roots here in our community. And finally have a reminder from Rosie that after the service, there's a Christmas party at her house with hot lunch, apps, and drinks that will be provided. All are welcome. And I will add that Rosie's house is a Christmas wonderland with so many beautiful decorations, and it was a joy to be there last year celebrating, and so I hope to see some of you there this afternoon. And finally, we put one more stone in the shared vessel, representing all of those joys and concerns that remain quiet and tender upon our hearts this morning. Thank you. And now we have an opportunity to sing the children that are with us to their religious exploration classes with Go Now in Peace. This week, I invite you into a spirit of meditation and reflection, rather than with spoken words, with words that we sing together of the meditation on breathing. I invite you to remain seated. The words will be on the screen, and we're just going to sing it through a few times. And it's number 1009 in the Teal hymnal.
I have a reading for you. It's a New York Times op-ed written by David French called Being There. I want to begin this column by sharing with you one of the worst things that I ever did. I was only 18 years old, but that is no excuse. Late one night, I got a call from a very close friend. My dad's on the way to the hospital. It's really bad. I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. More important, I didn't know what to do. I told my friend I was sorry. I told him I'd pray for him, and then I went to sleep. I called my friend the next morning. No answer. I asked around. He was at the hospital. The same pattern repeated for 2 long days. I'd call, no answer. I'd ask about him and find out he was at the hospital, but I didn't go. To this day, I can't replicate the thought process that kept me away. I remember feeling some irrational confidence that his father would be fine. I remember being busy. I remember feeling not quite prepared to face such pain and loss. Then I got the call, my friend's father died. I did go to the visitation. I knew, at the very least, that's what friends do. What happened next is burned into my heart. When I walked in the door, my friend came up to me, looked at me with immense hurt, and said, "Where were you?" I had no answer then. I have no answer now. I failed, and the older I get, the better I understand the magnitude of my failure. I had violated the first commandment of friendship, presence. Simply being there was all that had been required. I couldn't pass even that one simple test. Ever since I started thinking and writing about America's loss of belonging, I've been asking people what virtue they value the most in a friend. I've asked people who are religious and secular, white collar, blue collar, men and women, black and white. And it's remarkable how often the answer boils down to the single virtue I mentioned above, of presence, of being there. Time and again, I hear versions of this answer, one that grows more salient the longer you live and the greater the headwinds you face. A friend is there when you need them. A friend picks up the phone when you call at 2 a.m. A friend stands with you. The temptation of absence destroys the virtue of presence. And that absence, as I showed as a younger man, need not come through shocking neglect or selfishness. It can occur simply because you're busy. I've seen it with my own eyes. Most Americans make their close friends through work. So what happens when friends change jobs and they're suddenly just gone? C.S. Lewis said, "Friendship is unnecessary. Like philosophy, like art, like the universe itself, for God did not need to create. It has no survival value. Rather, it is one of those things which give value to survival." That single quote says so much. Compared with the competing demands of family and work, in any given moment, friendship can feel unnecessary. But as the years roll on, and countless justifiable individual absences wear down our relationships, there will come a time when we will feel their loss. But it need not be that way. especially when our simplest and highest command is merely being there.
You should doubt that life is holy. About to shout what love just told me. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Set a place at the table. Say your grace just 'cause you're able. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. As a spark, night's a flame. Holy, holy is each name. Every smile on every face is a prayer. In the dark and in the day, in the swirling Milky Way, in the miles of open space, here and there. Get into the moment. 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 From the grave to the cradle, there's only one truth, only one place. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. From the walker to the stroller, meditator, holy roller. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Let the love suns embrace. Light your heart as it does your face. Let the quiet of the moon get you free. Every day is a new birth. There is magic on this earth. You can wield it if you choose to let it be. If you can get into the moment. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Right in the moment. And if you feel answers are hard to find, just draw near to your own inner peace of mind, 'cause it will guide your heart if you will stand still. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Lose yourself into the moment. Love is in the moment. Peace is in the moment. Joy is in the moment. True love is in the moment. Sing it to the moment. Dance to the moment. Love into the moment. Give your life into the moment.
I'm going to share with you a reflection that I wrote called Presence. What does it mean to offer your presence as a gift? I hadn't thought in these terms before, although I've heard after singing in the choir that the music was a gift, or after spending time with a friend that our connection was a treat. I've heard a lot of affirmations that suggest time spent in the presence of another can be a special gift. I've certainly felt that way in relation to another, but for myself to be offered as the gift, not quite. To do so would suggest that I know my value in another's life, that I know my very presence can be cherished, and when thinking about bolstering myself to that extent, I shy away. How many of you shy away from the prospect of offering your presence as a gift? Imagine, I think to myself, wrapping a note that reads, "Time with me," as the gift inside, even though it's one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable things I have to offer. Where I spend my time is how I show what is important to me. Now, of course, there are some things that, like laundry and grocery shopping, that suggest what is important to me, clean clothes and food. But time with another person or a group of people is a choice that directly says, you matter. For example, here, I'm in training to be a worship associate. I'm learning the ropes so that I can decide if it's something that I'd like to do on my own in the future. My decision either way reflects how I choose to spend my time. Do I offer my time as a gift? It's difficult to come to terms with this concept. I wrestle with the notion that I could be a gift to you. So when Reverend Holly sent the topic gift of presence, I thought, thank goodness I'm worship associate with Dave. Everybody loves Dave. His presence truly is a gift week after week, and we know this much is true. But when I put myself into the equation alone, I feel an imbalance. Then I question whether I could ever do this job without Dave. It may sound silly, but although I value my time immensely, I've not considered giving it as a gift. The service today has opened my heart to the reality of my presence. When we give ourselves, we choose to give up part of our lives for something else, whatever that may be. And that releasing of one thing for another is a gift. In the process of writing this reflection, I came to terms with the idea that once a gift is given, I have little control over how it is received, but that reception doesn't change the beauty of the gesture. When we say, thank you for being here with us today, we are acknowledging the gift of your presence, the gift of you. When I say thank you for having me as your worship associate, I am thanking you for accepting my presence as a gift to you.
Thank you so much for the gift of your presence, for both of you serving in this role today. It is such a blessing. And as some of you might have picked up on, the theme today, but also throughout the month of December, is presence. And the correlation between presence or being present and the holidays didn't escape my notice. Because when we have those opportunities to be together, it can really be meaningful. Now, this time of year, we often think about giving our financial gifts or giving of things. And while giving of things and financial support can be a wonderful, absolutely important thing in our lives, sometimes those items remind us of our time together with someone else. How many of you have grown up going to multiple people's homes for the holidays, whether it was friends or family, whatever holiday it was that you celebrate? Anybody? Okay. So, I don't know about you, but as my life has changed, I've noticed there are different emphasis on the holidays. When I was younger, I had the opportunity to celebrate Christmas every year with my mom's family, all 10 of my cousins, all 5 of my aunts and uncles and their spouses, and my grandparents. Then my grandfather died, and then my grandmother. We all got older. Cousins were getting married and having kids, and suddenly the only time we see each other is for weddings and funerals. And no more holiday gatherings like that, because everybody's going in their different direction. And I didn't necessarily appreciate those moments when they happened, But now, looking back on them, it wasn't about gift giving, because often we didn't exchange very much in the way of gifts, but it was about being together, that presence of community, of family, that can create that meaning making. And I think back to these precious memories of being together. And I want to think about that in the context of our Christmas giving, not just of a physical gift or a financial gift, but also of how we come to be together, recognizing that being here in this space, any Sunday, any day of the week, can be a blessing as well. So a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend a workshop that Karen Hiebel, our director of Lifespan Faith Formation, sent me a link to and said, hey, as a minister, you might want to check this out. And it was for families and caregivers and communities that are interested in caring for our children and our families, that lifted up the challenges that modern day families are facing. Because of all of the technology, all of the activities, all of the things that are going on, it's harder and harder for families to carve out time for being present at services on Sunday morning. So one of the things somebody brought up was that having something that isn't just Sunday morning, or having an emphasis that was on what we do for religious education and really making space for our kids to be part of services, which I'm happy to say this congregation has already put that emphasis, with kids being able to be involved and to stay and share joys and concerns. But yet, there's always more that we could be doing. And another family shared that they were having a multi-generational service, and it was going longer than anticipated. It was a very wordy, long sermon, and the child was getting fidgety and like restless and asking when it was going to be over and when they could leave. And one of the adults that was known to this family came over and asked if they could be with the child to help entertain, play tic-tac-toe or color a picture and redirect their energy. And the woman said that it allowed her to be able to pay attention to the service rather than feeling stressed out about what everybody was going to think of her child and what was going on. Those little moments can make a difference in the life of a church family. It can make a difference in how our children and our youth feel included and incorporated. And I read a story about a couple that decided to not give physical gifts anymore, of tangible items, but to give one another experiences of buying tickets to go and do an activity together, to have an outing. Sometimes it was free and going on a hike, but carving out that time to be intentionally present with one another. As I was writing this, I had a quote from Maya Angelou that went through my head, and I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but basically her statement said that we don't always remember what someone said, but we remember how they made us feel. And Sometimes just showing up and being there, or sending a card, or making a phone call. Because sometimes we live far away from people in our lives, and we can't always be there in that moment. But we can make sure they know we're here for them in some way. Maybe it's a video chat, or sending a card to let people know that we're thinking of them and that we care about them. And yesterday, I had the opportunity to do a couple of things. One, I had a meeting with the transition team, which is transitioning to being the shared ministry committee again now, because I've been here for a year and a half, and so calling it a transition team now, we're kind of past that phase. So, but I had the joy of meeting with Julia, who's over here, and Cindy Lee, and Wei, and Joe. And Wei is leaving to go into the Peace Corps. He's away visiting a friend, but he took the time to sign in on Zoom for this final meeting. And that was pretty awesome, to have him feel that it was important enough to be present, to sign in on Zoom on his phone. And Jo joined us on her birthday to check out what this committee was going to be about, and to decide that she's going to accept being part of this committee, filling Wei's position, until we can vote on our positions for our committee on, or our shared ministry committee. And while I have sadness about Wei leaving, I'm also excited about the next phase of his journey, and I'm excited about the new configuration and new role of this committee. And then yesterday afternoon, I had an opportunity to go visit with Paula, and she asked me what I was doing for service. And, you know, I said, I'm talking about presents. And she goes, oh, so like what you're doing here? And I was like, yeah. And I don't always think about that aspect of ministry, but just being with people, having opportunities to get to know people. I've had an opportunity to get to know a couple of people that were former members and interested in becoming members again in the last couple of weeks. And it is such a joy to get to know people. Wei said something to me yesterday. He goes, I sometimes don't want to reach out to you because I don't want to bother you. And I was like, but that's what I do as a minister. Now, I can't do every little thing. I can't answer every little question, because guess what? I might not have the answer. But maybe we can talk about it and see what we can come up with together. So, yeah, some questions maybe are better as an email or a text message. But I want you to know that as your minister, I want you to reach out. I want to be there for you. I want us to be here for one another in this community. And so I had this epiphany as I was driving home from visiting Paula, and I decided to throw out some of the aspects of what I was going to do in the rest of the sermon. And I'm turning it over to you. So, not to panic, I am wanting to give you an opportunity to find someone to talk to, but I want to give you an option. Some people are very introverted and would rather not talk to somebody, especially someone they don't know. And for our folks online, you may or may not have someone with you that you can talk to. So we will have some paper and pens. After I ask the questions, I'm going to ask if anybody wants paper and pen, and we can have one of our lovely worship associates bring it to you. But so, the questions that I have are, is there a time when someone showed up for you, was there for you, that stands out in your mind? The other question is maybe a little more specific. And you don't have to answer both of them. You can pick one or the other. You can do both. But the second one, is there someone in this community that has shown up for you, that has been there in some way? And so, as you think about these questions, I want you to preferably, if you're going to share, find somebody that you didn't come with. It doesn't have to be somebody you never met, although that would be awesome too, to get to know someone you don't know as well, but not someone you came here with. So couples, talk to somebody else, please. Or you have the opportunity to write something down. And hopefully this provides some flexibility depending on your comfort level, because some of us need to think quietly and process a little bit differently. So I'm going to give you about, let's say, 6 minutes or so. And you're going to have a chance to write things down or talk to somebody, and maybe more than one somebody. But to think about these questions and to share a little bit of that. And of course, if we start seeing that folks are wrapping up sooner than 6 minutes, we can stop sooner, all right? Okay, so I'm going to say the questions again, and then I'm going to ask, another important thing. After this opportunity, I'm going to see if anybody would like to share with the congregation what came up for them. And not going to put anybody on the spot. I'm not going to call on anybody, but if somebody would like to, I invite you to do so. All right, so the questions were, again, is there a time that someone showed up for you, that has been there for you, that stands out in your mind? Or is there someone here in this community that has shown up, that has been there for you in that way? And so if you would like to write something rather than talk to somebody, please raise your hand and I will ask Dave and Kari to bring you a pen and some paper. And anybody else that would like to move around or talk to someone near you, please do so. Well, thank you all. That sounded like some wonderful, lively conversation, and I've also seen some people writing to share some of that. And so I have, Dave and Kari have a microphone that they can bring around. If there's anybody that would like to share something that came up for them, or that is a moment where someone's presence was really special for you. And can you share your name when you speak?
Okay. My mother died 2 days before my son's 12th birthday, and Charmaine Camille came over and baked a birthday cake for me to take down for Kyle while handling the funeral and all. So that was, I really appreciate Charmaine.
Thank you, Meg.
I'm Emily. I use she, her pronouns. And earlier this semester, I got severe bronchitis. And around 3 a.m., I wasn't able to breathe, and I couldn't get back control of it. I called my friend at 3 a.m., and through some magic, she actually woke up and answered the phone. And she drove me to the ER so I could go get a bunch of very nice medications that made me feel amazing for the next week. So that was pretty great. I don't think I could have driven myself. So that was very nice of her.
Yes, thank you. Have Mike and then Martha.
About 40 years ago, I was much involved with organizing and coordinating the work parties that we had on Friday evenings, and they were a different sort of thing. We would have a fair crew of people, you know, a dozen or more to say the least, and we usually went through a case of beer, and you know, but we were working hard, and one of the things is there was a fella, Bob Snellsire, who was a professor and, you know, just had great gossip. And he would just stand around. I mean, he didn't do anything. He just stood around, and, you know, his presence was there. And, you know, I just, you know, Bob, pick up a shovel. and, you know, but that was his thing. And now I'm at the point in my life where I feel like I'm the Bob Snellsire of the gardening crew, and I have a hole in my hand, but I stand around.
Thank you, Mike.
I have a couple of things. Once during General Assembly, I had had surgery and I was on a walker, and Cindy Lee came and got me, and every time we stopped on the way there and back, it was in Charlotte, she would have to get out of the car, get out my walker, and get me all set. So she really stood up for me. And another thing, I had another surgery when Reverend Christina was here, and I never expected anyone to come and see me. It was during the pandemic. She came with her husband and her smaller daughter, and they couldn't come in the house because of the pandemic, so they stood outside. But how lovely that she just came by to see how I was.
Thank you. And I have a note that was handed to me, and I think it was meant to be able to be shared, but that Karen Sanders calls Elaine almost every other day to see how she's doing. I am so delighted to have had so many of you share, and to see you sharing with one another or writing a note, and maybe a note that you can share with somebody later, or send a note to someone that lets them know how their presence is a gift in your life. And I want to close with this quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. When you love someone, the best thing you can do is offer your presence. How can you love if you're not there? The most precious gift we can give others is our presence. When mindfulness embraces those we love, they will bloom like flowers. May we all have the opportunity to recognize the gift of our presence and the presence of others in our lives, however they show up in those moments that we need them most. May we know that we are loved and cared for in this community and beyond. May it be so. May we make it so, and blessed be. And our closing hymn today is number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life. If you'll rise in body, mind, or spirit, wherever you are, to join in singing, please. May our love, may our presence, and may our compassion be our legacy. May you go in peace and return in love until we are together again.